Is there any reason to be concerned about the Baltimore Ravens and their health right now? That's something that I'm going to be talking about, as well as, are the Cincinnati Bengals in a situation to where they should just tank the rest of the season? If you want to hear more about that, stay tuned right after the intro. Podcast number 71 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and it's a new week. We're on to week 5 of the NFL regular season, so let's get right into House Call with Jonah.
Let's go!
All right, so this is the third week of House Call with Jonah, and thank you all to everyone that gave me the input of just saying like I should keep the name. You guys think it's good, so I made a little bit of a logo / crest for that, so that we can transition into that. So if you guys saw that animation, that was pretty cool, and I worked hard on that one. But let's get right into week 5 of the NFL regular season. Last week, we saw some crazy games. We also saw some undefeated teams go down. We saw some teams that have yet to win a game. So it was a very interesting week, but that's behind us now. Let's talk about week 5. So we have 4 primetime games or 4 primetime / special games this week, where we're going to be seeing the 49ers playing the Rams on Thursday Night Football. So let's start with that game. I personally think the Rams will win this game. The 49ers, I know they won, I believe. No, they lost this last week. I apologize. Which dropped them to 3-1. So they actually were an undefeated team. They lost. And the Rams, they've looked very solid. This game's in LA. I think the Rams are going to win this game. There's also a lot of question marks still with Brock Purdy's health. And if that's the case, I just am not sure if I can bet on the 49ers right now. And especially just since the Rams have been playing unbelievable. So give me the Rams in this Thursday Night Football matchup. Next up, we have another overseas game, where this game is not going to be in Dublin. It's actually going to be in London, this game. And that's going to be the Vikings versus Browns. The Vikings are currently 2-2. They're in a weird situation. JJ McCarthy's out for a couple of weeks. Carson Wentz has stepped up to be the quarterback. They just lost to the Steelers last week. And it's just like, it's a weird team. It's like, can Carson Wentz really lead this offense? That's just the big question mark. And then for the Browns, it's like, they just benched Joe Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel's going to get the starting nod for this game, so the rookie is going to be able to get that spot. Some people are mad that Shedeur Sanders isn't getting it. I think he'll get his chance eventually, especially if the Browns are just continuing to lose. I could see them trying Shedeur Sanders out just in maybe a couple of weeks, or even next week. But I do think that the Minnesota Vikings will win this game. I think the Vikings are just too good of an offense to lose to this Browns team. And this Browns offense is just too confusing with a rookie quarterback like Dylan Gabriel. I'm not really high on Dylan Gabriel. I would personally rather just play Shedeur because I think he has more potential. But let me know what you guys think down below. But yeah, I'm going to pick the Vikings over the Browns in this game. And then we have the Sunday Night Football game. This game, in my opinion, should not be Sunday Night Football. I feel like this is just not like the greatest matchup. It is the New England Patriots going to Buffalo to play the Bills. The Patriots are currently 2-2. The Bills are currently 4-0. I don't think the Bills will lose this game. The Patriots they've been okay this season. I mean, like, they're making strides. I just think the Patriots are 1 or 2 seasons away from truly becoming like playoff contenders. Drake May, I really like at quarterback. I like how they drafted Travion Henderson. I think they're juicing up the offensive line. It still could use some work, but it's getting there. But, like, you're going against the Bills. It's like this Bills team has looked unbelievable. And by the way, I looked at the schedule, and they have played an away game, but it feels like the Bills have played home every single game. I mean, and actually the only away game they played was the Jets, which isn't even, like, too far from their own home stadium. So it's like, it feels like the Bills have barely had to travel at all, or even at all in general. So, but I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a rant, but like, it's like, get the Bills somewhere else. Let them go to the West Coast at some point. Like, good grief. Get them to move a little bit. But yeah, I do have the Bills winning this game. And then we have the other and the final primetime game. where that is Monday Night Football, where we're going to be seeing the Chiefs travel to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. The Jaguars have been pleasantly surprising this season. They're actually sitting at 3-1. The only loss was literally to the Jake Browning Bengals, which is very confusing. And Jake Browning was like a reason why they came back from that game. But the Jaguars overall have been clicking well, but they're going against a Chiefs team that a lot of people were down on at the beginning of the season. I wish they kept losing more games, but unfortunately they haven't. They're back to 500, and I think they'll win this game as well, going up to 3-2. So that is all the primetime games. Now let's go into just the rest of the games that are going to be taking place on Sunday. So first up, we have the Cowboys going to New York to play the Jets, or I guess never mind. I have the Cowboys winning this game. The Cowboys just tied last week against the Packers, which, by the way, I'm going to mention there are 4 teams that are not going to be playing this week. So if I don't mention your favorite team, that's why. That's the Falcons, Bears, Packers, and Steelers. They're all on a bye week. So if I don't mention those teams, that's why. But let's get back to the Cowboys-Jets. I think the Cowboys will win this game. They just tied with the Packers last week. They're such a confusing team. It's like they play well against the teams that are really good, and then it feels like they play down to their competition, like the Bears. They got destroyed. They kind of got worked by the Bears, but then you go to Green Bay, or was it at home? I can't remember. I think it was in Dallas, actually. But either way, you go play the Packers and you tie that game. It's like, huh? How does that make sense? It just feels like the Cowboys are just kind of playing up to their competition and then playing down to some of their competition. It's like they're playing to the level of whatever team they're playing against, if that makes sense. But I do think the Cowboys will win this game. The Jets have yet to win a game, and they have really not looked great, in my opinion. Next up, we have the Giants going to the Saints, where I think the Giants will win this game. Jackson Dart got his first starting opportunity last week against the Chargers, and let me just tell you something, he won the football game. Obviously the Giants defense did their part. They forced some interceptions on Justin Herbert, along with an unfortunate injury for Joe Alt, the Chargers starting tackle. But overall, Jackson Dart didn't do too bad. Here's actually his stats from that game. He went 13 for 20. He threw for 111 yards, and he threw 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions, which is important to note. He also had 10 carries for 54 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. So he had 2 total touchdowns, and the biggest thing for him is he had 0 interceptions. That, in my opinion, is the biggest part of this whole entire thing, because a lot of rookie quarterbacks, it seems, at least Bo Nix, threw a lot of interceptions in their debut. Jackson Dart, he held his own, didn't do too bad. 13 for 20 is not the best efficiency when you're throwing, but it'll do. It's his first game. He'll learn, and he's now going against the Saints, who look horrible this year, which, go figures, they're trying to tank for the number 1 pick, which is smart, in my opinion. So, in all honesty, I think the Giants will win this game, and it could be a really good game for Jackson Dart. Next up, we have the Raiders going to Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Colts had an unfortunate loss. They just had a lot of mistakes. I think it was Adonai Mitchell fumbled the football right before he went into the end zone, which was unfortunate. So that turned out to be a touchback, and the Rams get the ball. And then Jonathan Taylor makes a nice run in the fourth quarter to get into the end zone, but it was called back for a holding. It's just like the Colts have had a very unfortunate week. Now they get to go against the Raiders, who also had a heartbreaking loss based off of a blocked field goal where the Bears blocked that field goal. I do think the Colts will win this game and jump up to 4-1. I just don't think the Raiders have proved enough yet to get my trust in picking them to win a game. Next up, we have the Dolphins going to Carolina to play the Panthers. I think the Panthers will win this game. I think the Panthers they've also been a very confusing team. It's like a few weeks ago, they went out and destroyed the Falcons, but it's just hard to tell if this team's good or not, but it's also like the Dolphins aren't very good, which prayers up for Tyreek Hill for that injury. You never want to see any of that happen. But I do think the Dolphins have just struggled, and I think they'll lose another one here to the Carolina Panthers. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos going to Philadelphia to play the Eagles, and As a Broncos fan, yes, it was relieving to beat the Bengals, even if Jake Browning was their starting quarterback. But the Eagles will win this game. The Eagles are just too good. And especially with our inside linebackers and just like there's nothing good there without Greenlaw. And even with Greenlaw, who knows if that's going to end up panning out. This Eagles team's too good. Singleton's not going to be able to guard either Dallas Goedert or Saquon Barkley, which I really hope they do not have Singleton guarding Saquon Barkley. But I just think this Eagles team will win this game. I just hope the Broncos keep it close. Next up, we have the Texans going to Baltimore to play the Ravens. And as I mentioned earlier in the intro, the Ravens have had some big injury concerns. Lamar Jackson, I'm recording this on Wednesday. Lamar Jackson, I don't believe is practicing today, or if he is, he's very limited in practice. I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to play. There's also been a lot of other injury concerns with players like Marlon Humphrey and stuff. So who knows how that's going to go. This Ravens team with injuries, I just think the Texans are going to be able to pull it off. This Texans team's bound to break out as well. I just feel like this Texans team's so much better than what their record shows at 1-3. And I think they'll pull off a win against an injured Ravens team. Next up, we have the Titans going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. The Cardinals have had a very weird season as well. They're sitting at 2-2. They've been in almost every game they've played. It just feels like they can't get it done occasionally. I think they'll win this game against the Titans. The Titans have shown promise, but it's also like they just lost, I believe, like 30-0 to the Texans. So it's like, who knows what's going on with that team. And I just think there's too many question marks for the Titans to where I could pick for them. So I'm going to actually pick the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Seattle to play the Seahawks. And I'm actually going to pick Seattle. I know Tampa Bay is a good team, even with Mike Evans out. But now there's some injury concerns with Bucky Irving, their starting running back. And if he doesn't play this week, that could be a big loss for them. And the Seahawks team has been solid this year. I mean, like, they've beaten teams like the Steelers. They beat They beat Arizona. I can't think of the other team they beat off the top of my head right now, but Seattle's been very solid. They have a very solid defense. And it's just like, it feels like the Seahawks team is very underrated for how they're playing right now. Especially, they're just kind of like under the radar compared to these other teams. So I do think the Seahawks will win this game. Sorry if I'm like rambling again as well, where I'm stuttering sometimes. Next up, we have the Lions going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. If the Bengals keep this even remotely close, I will be so surprised. I think the Lions will destroy the Bengals. Watching the Broncos beat the Bengals on Monday night was like, it was hard to tell like if the Broncos played good or if the Bengals were just that bad. I think it was kind of a mix of both. I think the Broncos were like, they were okay, but the Bengals are just horrible without Joe Burrow. I mean, like, we saw so many missed throws from Jake Browning, so many throws that he should have thrown that he just threw it to the wrong person or he was getting pressured the whole time. This Bengals team, in my opinion, just needs to hang it up. I know they're trying to stay competitive because I know Joe Burrow's technically not out all season, but he's out for 3 months. For 3 months, you're going to try to stay competitive with how this team is playing right now? I don't think it's possible. Tank this season, get a good draft pick, and go into next season with a really good draft pick and a healthy Joe Burrow. That's what I think is going to happen. But yeah, I do think the Lions will win this game, and I don't even think it'll be remotely close. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. This is going to be an interesting game. It seems that Jaden Daniels could be ramping up to potentially returning this week along with Terry McLaurin. But I do think the Chargers will win this game. I think there's just too much injury concerns with the Commanders, especially with Jaden Daniels. Who knows if he's actually even going to play this week. So I think the Chargers will win this game. They're going to be upset, especially after losing to the Giants, who were 0-3 previously. I think they're going to bounce back. I know they're missing their two all-pro tackles now, but I still think they have a decent team. They have a great coach in Harbaugh. I think he'll be able to figure out a scheme to get this done. But anyways, that's going to be all of the games for Week 5. Wow, that's crazy. There was only 14. So Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think I made some good picks? Do you disagree with some picks? Let me know down below. I'd love to be able to talk to you guys about this because, hey, it's sports and I love sports. That's why I'm doing a podcast. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to podcast number 71 of Sports Talk with JWock. Hit the like and subscribe button, please. I'll also put up the picks right now just so you guys can see that. Check me out on all social media platforms, especially Instagram and Facebook, where you'll be able to see the week 5 picks more and you'll be able to see it for a little longer, or you could just pause the video and look at the picks in that end. But anyways, I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.